Good evening. Today we're doing a book review. I'll show you the book. Pyum pyum, shum 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 shum. Sorry, that was very lame. In the Blink of an Eye by Walter Murch. So, if you've randomly clicked on this video on the internet, my name's Riley Coyote and I'm making a TV show. So this is a book about film editing. I've been editing for a long time. Started using Premiere Pro in about 2016, but a veteran of iMovie for many years before that. Good times. Anyways, In the Blink of an Eye, written by one of the greatest film editors of all time, Walter Murch, edited such films as The Godfather Part 2, The Godfather Part 3, and a bunch of other famous ones, but you probably heard of those too, so I'll just mention them. Anyways, interesting book it was, and we shall talk about it now so you don't have to read it, but if you'd like to read it, go ahead. But if you do, tip number one for this book is the second half of the book has no value. The first half of the book is incredible. There's lots of little tidbits and insights into thinking about editing on a deeper level than I ever have. And over the 8, almost 9 years I have been editing, that's a long time, oh my lord, I've thought about editing on a deep level quite a lot, but this goes a step deeper. For example, they talk about the concept of blinking. You know, that thing you do every day, right? Blinking. And how that leads into... See, I've read this chapter once, so this is probably a bad idea talking about it, but stick with me. Blinking. He talks about how when he was editing this specific film that I forgot the title of, he realized that he was instinctively making the cuts, like cutting to the next shot or the next scene, whenever, like almost to the frame of when the actor was blinking. Now this is really interesting, right? Because like, why was his intuition to cut also lining up with the intuition of the actor to blink? Well, it's because this is something I didn't know, but within everyday conversation in life, we tend to blink when a piece of information is closed and we are preparing for a new piece of information, information to be introduced into this conversation. And if you're having a conversation with someone, it's quite likely that your blinking is in line with each other if you're both present and in the conversation together and the person you're talking to is actually listening to you attentively. Super interesting stuff. And how that flows into editing? Well, I need to reread the chapter. But he brought up an interesting point that did stick with me. And he like runs you through this exercise where he's like, if I were to tell you to go look over to this window to your left, Riley, I would be like looking at him like this, and I would look over to the window on the left, and then he'd say, now look back to me. I'd look back to him. Now, I don't know if you noticed that, but when I looked from you to the window, I kept my eyes open as they tracked across to identify the window. But then as I moved back to you, like without thinking about it, instinctively I blink. And it's because my brain has already picked up that information from here to here that I can almost like teleport back. I remember the context in which he brings it up now. He brings it up because, like, if you really think about cuts in a film, like cutting from one scene to another, one location to another, one angle to another, that is so unlike real life. When you wake up in the morning from when to when you go to bed, it is one continuous long shot. One shot out your eyeballs all day. Or is it? It's not, because you blink. And okay, I think what we're beginning to understand in this book review is I need to reread some of these key chapters. But there was another chapter that I'll dive into real quick that really stuck with me, and I think it is amazing, and I definitely want to reread it. It was about movie premieres. So I'm working on some new films at the moment. 3 episodes to this thing I'm calling my TV show, The Riley Coyote Show. It's fucking so cool. Anyways, he talks about movie premieres and the value of them in getting like real feedback from humans and seeing what people's like real reactions are to films, which I've already experienced with, like, obviously showing some of my films to some of my closest friends before they come out, and I literally just sit there and watch their faces, and you get so much from that. It's so scary though, because sometimes they don't laugh when you think they're going to, but that helps you learn, right? So obviously doing that on a grander scale is even more valuable with more people. But the little tidbit of advice he said, which I'll definitely put into practice when I get to the position one day that I can premiere my films to more people, is he would have a desk in the theatre, or like outside of the theatre, with a little sign on it that said, if you would like us to contact you in a few days' time to answer a few questions on your thoughts about the film, sign here. And the people that would sign there would give the most valuable feedback possible for the film to actually improve, because the feedback you receive from an individual who has just recently experienced, like just now experienced your film, is so raw and built in excitement and potentially adrenaline and potentially fandom that it's bias, right? But then after a couple days, it soaks into the mind, it soaks into the soul, and what was actually significant about the story to them is the only thing that lives on. So you get the realness. You get really what they enjoyed. You get really what they didn't like. Really what made them feel some sort of way, good, bad, or whatever. So that was super valuable. But then the second half of the book just talks about like the history of film editing machines and stuff. And I was like, bored fucking batshit, man. But if you're a filmmaker watching this, read the first half of this book. Give it 8 schmeckles out of 10. Good shit. Had a good editing session today, if you wanted to know about that. Getting through that training scene. It's going good. It's getting some energy behind it. I think I'm going to put away episode 1 at the end of this week. It's nowhere near done, but I have like the structure of the video out, and I'm close to a rough cut. Kind of close to a rough cut. But I think it's important to make some early steps towards episode 2 now as well. Oh yeah, and Creator Camp just announced that they're doing a film festival in Austin, Texas on April 26th. I have like no money in my bank account, but I want to find a way to go there. Anyway, that's today. I'll talk more about that soon. Bye, I love you.